Not all ancient stories are about heroes. Some are warnings. Some tales passed down through generations are meant to caution us, to show us the dangers that lie in the shadows of the human heart. These stories are not just relics of the past, but living lessons, echoing through time to reach us today. The story of Cain, the first son of Adam and Eve, is one of lost potential. Born into a world fresh with promise, Cain stood at the very beginning of humanity's journey, carrying the hopes of his parents and the weight of a new world on his shoulders. Cain could have been a leader and a source of hope, but instead, he let anger and jealousy take over. When he saw his brother Abel's offering accepted while his own was not, a storm of emotions brewed within him: resentment, envy, and a sense of injustice. He became the first to let darkness win, turning away from the good path set before him. Instead of seeking understanding or striving to do better, Cain allowed his feelings to fester, leading him down a path from which there was no return. Cain's tragedy is not just about a single mistake, but a deliberate choice to reject what was right. He was given a chance to master his emotions, to rise above them, but he chose otherwise. This was not a momentary lapse, but a turning point that defined his life. He ignored the chance to change, letting bitterness grow until it consumed him. Even when warned, even when offered guidance, Cain closed his heart, refusing to let go of his anger. The bitterness became a prison, locking him away from hope and healing. His story is a lesson. Unchecked emotions can lead to regret and loss. Cain lost his brother, his family, his home, and his peace, all because he refused to turn back to the light. The consequences of his actions rippled outward, affecting not just himself but everyone around him. He became a wanderer, marked by his choices, forever searching for a place to belong. The story of Cain is not just about the first murder. It's about the first time someone let their inner darkness win. It's about the struggle within every human heart, the battle between light and shadow, hope and despair. It's a warning about the high price of letting anger and jealousy rule our hearts. When we allow negative emotions to take root, they can grow into actions that cannot be undone, leaving scars that last a lifetime. Cain's journey from beloved son to lonely wanderer is a powerful reminder of the consequences of our choices. Each step he took away from his family, away from forgiveness, was a step deeper into isolation and sorrow. His story has echoed through history as a lesson for us all. Across centuries and cultures, the tale of Cain reminds us that the choices we make, especially in moments of anger or pain, can shape our destiny and the lives of those we love. We must guard our hearts, or risk losing everything that matters. The story of Cain urges us to confront our own darkness, to choose compassion over resentment, and to remember that redemption is always possible, if only we are willing to turn back toward the light. Cain and Abel, the first brothers, chose very different paths. Cain became a farmer, working the stubborn earth, relying on his own strength. Abel became a shepherd, caring for his flock with patience and gentleness. Their work reflected their hearts. Cain focused on control and effort, Abel on nurturing and trust. These differences shaped not just their daily lives, but their relationship with God. The choices they made in their work would soon reveal the true state of their hearts. One brother sought to master the land, the other to care for life. These paths set the stage for a conflict that would change everything. The story of Cain and Abel is about more than jobs. It's about the values we choose. Their lives show how our actions and attitudes shape our destiny. The stage was set for a moment that would define both their futures. Cain and Abel each brought an offering to God. Cain offered crops from his fields, the result of his hard work. Abel brought the best of his flock, a true sacrifice. God accepted Abel's offering but not Cain's. The difference wasn't the gift, but the heart behind it. Abel gave with faith and humility, offering his best. Cain's offering lacked true devotion. Perhaps he kept the best for himself, or gave out of duty, not love. God looks at our hearts, not just our actions. Cain's rejection was a chance to change, not a final judgment. But instead of reflecting, Cain let resentment grow. The story reminds us, true worship comes from sincerity, not just ritual. God desires our best, given freely and with love. The brothers' offerings revealed who they truly were inside. This moment would set Cain on a dangerous path. Cain's anger grew when his offering was rejected. The sting of disappointment burned within him, and he felt exposed, as if his very soul had been judged and found wanting. Instead of searching his heart for answers, Cain let his emotions take control, allowing frustration to cloud his judgment. Instead of asking why, he blamed Abel and let jealousy take root. The sight of his brother's favor only deepened his resentment, and the seeds of bitterness began to grow. Rather than seeking understanding, Cain allowed envy to fester, poisoning his thoughts and hardening his heart. God, seeing Cain's struggle, reached out with a warning: if you do what is right, you will be accepted. It was a moment of grace, a chance for Cain to reflect and change his path. God's words were gentle but firm, offering hope and a way forward if only Cain would listen. God compared sin to a wild animal waiting to pounce. Cain had the power to resist. The warning was vivid. Sin was not an unstoppable force but a lurking danger that could be mastered. Cain stood at a crossroads with the ability to choose self-control over destruction. But Cain refused to listen. Pride and stubbornness built a wall between him and the wisdom offered. He turned away from the chance to change, clinging to his anger as if it were a shield. He let his pride and bitterness drown out God's voice. Alone with his thoughts, Cain's mind became a storm of hurt and rage, shutting out any hope of reconciliation or peace. The warning was clear, but Cain chose to ignore it. He walked away from the guidance that could have saved him, convinced that he was right and everyone else was wrong. This was his chance to change, but he turned away. The opportunity for redemption slipped through his fingers, lost to the darkness growing inside him. The story shows us that we always have a choice, even when emotions run high. In moments of anger or jealousy, we can pause, reflect, and choose a better path, or let our feelings dictate our fate. Ignoring wise counsel can lead us down a path we can't return from. The voices that try to guide us may be hard to hear, but they are often the ones we need most. Cain's refusal to listen sealed his fate. In that moment, his future was shaped by his choices, and the consequences became inevitable. The darkness in his heart grew stronger. Isolated and consumed by his own bitterness, Cain's world became smaller, colder, and more hopeless. God's patience was great, but Cain's stubbornness was greater. Even as compassion reached out, Cain's heart remained closed, unwilling to accept help or forgiveness. The final step toward tragedy had been taken. Cain's story reminds us that ignoring warnings and shutting out wisdom can lead us into darkness, but the choice is always ours to make. Consumed by jealousy, Cain invited Abel to the field. Abel, trusting, followed, unaware of the danger. Alone, Cain's anger exploded into violence. He killed his own brother, committing the first murder. The ground he once tilled was now stained with Abel's blood. In that moment, Cain lost everything: his brother, his peace, and his place in the world. The silence after the act was deafening. One terrible choice, fueled by unchecked emotion, changed history forever. Cain's regret began the moment the deed was done. God confronted Cain, asking, "Where is your brother?" Cain lied, denying responsibility. "Am I my brother's keeper?" But God knew the truth. Abel's blood cried out from the ground. As punishment, God cursed the ground for Cain. It would no longer yield crops for him. Cain was sentenced to wander the earth, cut off from home and family. The weight of his actions finally hit him. He feared for his life as an outcast. Yet, even in punishment, God showed justice. Cain's focus remained on himself, not on repentance. The consequences of his actions were severe and lasting. Cain's connection to his work, his family, and his peace was broken. He became a restless wanderer, marked by his choices. The story is a stark reminder we cannot escape the results of our actions. Justice was served, but mercy was not forgotten. Despite Cain's crime, God showed unexpected mercy. Fearing for his life, Cain cried out, and God responded with protection. God marked Cain, warning others not to harm him. This mark was not shame, but a sign of God's authority and grace. Even in judgment, God set limits on vengeance. Cain was punished, but not abandoned. God's justice was balanced by compassion. The cycle of violence was stopped before it could begin. This act of mercy is a glimmer of hope in a dark story. It reminds us that even in our worst moments, grace can still reach us. The consequences of Cain's choice rippled outward. Abel's life was cut short. Adam and Eve lost both sons in a single day. Cain became a wanderer, building a city but never finding peace. His victory was hollow. He was forever marked by loss and regret. The family was shattered and the world was changed. Sin brought only sorrow, not satisfaction. The story shows that everyone lost something. There were no winners. Violence and jealousy left a permanent scar on humanity's first family. Cain's story is a warning. Darkness only leads to more pain. The harmony meant for humanity was broken. The lesson is clear. Anger and jealousy destroy more than we realize. The first family's tragedy echoes through time. Cain's story is filled with lessons for us today. Though it happened in a distant past, its message echoes through the ages, reaching into our modern lives with surprising relevance. The struggles, emotions, and choices faced by Cain are not so different from those we encounter ourselves. First, it warns us about the danger of narrow vision. Focusing only on our hurt blinds us to bigger truths. When we let pain or disappointment consume us, we risk missing the opportunities for growth and healing that are right in front of us. Cain's inability to see beyond his own wounded pride led him down a path of destruction, reminding us to step back and seek perspective when we are hurting. Second, it shows God's patience. He offers warnings and chances to change, even when we fail. God reached out to Cain, giving him a chance to choose a different path. This patience is a powerful reminder that, no matter how many times we stumble, we are not abandoned. There is always an invitation to turn back, to reflect, and to make better choices. Third, it teaches that justice belongs to God. He sees all, and will make things right. In a world where we often long for fairness and struggle with injustice, Cain's story reassures us that ultimate justice is in hands wiser than our own. We are called to trust that wrongs will be righted, even if not in the way or timing we expect. We are reminded not to let anger and jealousy rule our hearts. These emotions, if left unchecked, can grow into something destructive, hurting not only ourselves but those around us. Cain's downfall began with a seed of envy, showing us the importance of addressing our feelings before they take root. God's mercy is available, even after terrible mistakes. No matter how far we stray, the possibility of forgiveness remains. This is a message of hope for anyone who feels burdened by regret or shame, reminding us that redemption is always within reach if we are willing to seek it. The story is about choices, consequences, and the nature of God. Every decision we make shapes our future, and the paths we choose can lead to healing or harm. Cain's journey is a powerful illustration of how our actions ripple outward, affecting not just ourselves but the world around us. It urges us to look inward, to guard our hearts, and to trust in God's justice. Self-reflection is essential if we want to grow and avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. By examining our motives and being honest with ourselves, we can choose a better way forward. Cain's tragedy is a call to humility and self-reflection. It reminds us that none of us are immune to failure, but we can learn from our missteps. Humility opens the door to growth, compassion, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. We must remember, our actions affect not just ourselves but everyone around us. Our choices can bring pain or healing, division or unity. The story of Cain is a powerful reminder of our responsibility to one another and the importance of building communities rooted in empathy and care. The story of Cain is more than ancient history. It's a mirror for our own lives. It challenges us to examine our hearts, our relationships, and the way we respond to life's disappointments. In its ancient words, we find timeless truths that speak to the human condition. Let it remind us to choose light over darkness. Every day we are faced with choices that shape who we become. By choosing compassion, forgiveness, and understanding, we bring more light into the world. God's vision is bigger than ours, and His mercy is greater than our failures. No matter how lost we feel, there is always hope for a new beginning. We are invited to trust in a love that never gives up on us. These lessons are as true now as they were in the beginning. May we carry them with us, letting them guide our hearts and actions each day.